somewhere in New York City. Mr. Bixby was a dentist who made an average income. Mrs. Bixby was a big, vigorous woman with a wet mouth. Once a month, always on Friday afternoons, Mrs. Bixby would board the train at Pennsylvania Station and travel to Baltimore to visit her old aunt. She would spend the night with the aunt and return to New York on the following day in time to cook supper for her husband. Mr. Bixby accepted this arrangement good-naturedly. He knew that Aunt Maud lived in Baltimore and that his wife was very fond of the old lady, and certainly it would be unreasonable to deny either of them the pleasure of a monthly meeting. "Just so long as you don't ever expect me to accompany you," Mr. Bixby had said in the beginning. "Of course not, darling," Mrs. Bixby had answered. "After all, she's not your aunt, she's mine." So far, so good. As it turned out, however, the aunt was little more than a convenient alibi for Mrs. Bixby. The dirty dog, in the shape of a gentleman known as the Colonel, was lurking slyly in the background, and our heroine spent the greater part of her Baltimore time in this scoundrel's company. The Colonel was exceedingly wealthy. He lived in a charming house on the outskirts of the town. No wife or family encumbered him, only a few discreet and loyal servants, and in Mrs. Bixby's absence he consoled himself by riding his horses and hunting the fox. Year after year, this pleasant alliance between Mrs. Bixby and the Colonel continued without a hitch. They met so seldom, 12 times a year is not much when you come to think of it, that there was little or no chance of their growing bored with one another. On the contrary, the long wait between meetings only made the heart grow fonder, and each separate occasion became an exciting reunion. "Tally-ho!" the Colonel would cry each time he met her at the station in the big car. "My dear, I'd almost forgotten how ravishing you looked. Let's go to Earth." 8 years went by. It was just before Christmas, and Mrs. Bixby was standing on the station in Baltimore waiting for the train to take her back to New York. This particular visit, which had just ended, had been more than usually agreeable, and she was in a cheerful mood. But then the Colonel's company always did that to her these days. The man had a way of making her feel that she was altogether a rather remarkable woman, a person of subtle and exotic talents, fascinating beyond measure. And what a very different thing that was from the dentist husband at home who never succeeded in making her feel that she was anything but a sort of eternal patient, someone who dwelt in the waiting room, silent among the magazines, seldom if ever nowadays to be called in to suffer the finicky, precise ministrations of those clean pink hands. "The Colonel asked me to give you this," a voice beside her said. She turned and saw Wilkins, the Colonel's groom, a small wizened dwarf with grey skin, and he was pushing a large, flattish cardboard box into her arms. "Good gracious me!" she cried, all of a flutter. "My heavens, what an enormous box! What is it, Wilkins? Was there a message? Did he send me a message?" "No message," the groom said, and he walked away. As soon as she was on the train, Mrs. Bixby carried the box into the privacy of the ladies' room and locked the door. How exciting this was! A Christmas present from the Colonel! She started to undo the string. "I'll bet it's a dress," she said aloud. "It might even be 2 dresses, or it might be a whole lot of beautiful underclothes. I won't look. I'll just feel around and try to guess what it is. I'll try to guess the colour as well, and exactly what it looks like. Also, how much it cost." She shut her eyes tight and slowly lifted off the lid. Then she put one hand down into the box. There was some tissue paper on top. She could feel it and hear it rustling. There was also an envelope or a card of some sort she ignored.